It was a quiet Sunday afternoon in the small town of Nsaka. The rain had just stopped, and the air smelled fresh. People were either napping or preparing dinner. In the luxurious duplex of Mr. and Mrs. Okafor, peace lived, or so it seemed. The Okafors were a wealthy family. Mr. Okafor was a retired civil servant, now managing a big electronics shop near Odenigbo roundabout. His wife, Amaka, ran a provisions shop in front of their house. They had 2 children, Emeka, their first son who was in the university studying accounting, and Ada, their 17-year-old daughter in SS3. They lived a quiet life. People said the Okafors were good people. Helpful. Church-going. Decent. Honest. But that quiet life changed the day the stranger came. It started with a knock. A slow, polite knock on the metal gate. Amaka, who was just arranging wine and biscuits in her shop, wiped her hands and looked out through the small opening. A young man stood outside. He looked tired, soaked from the rain, and carried a Ghana-must-go bag. His eyes were red and sunken. "Yes. Who are you looking for?" Amaka asked, cautious. "Good afternoon, Ma," the young man said. "Please, I'm looking for Mr. Iamekanoa Okafor." She froze. Her husband's full name. "Who are you?" I'm his son." Amaka blinked. "Who's what?" "I am his son," the young man repeated. "My name is David." That moment felt like the wind paused. Amaka's hands started shaking. "You must be confused," she whispered. "No more. I'm not. I'm sure. He's my father." Inside the house, Mr. Okafor was watching football. Emeka was on a video call with his girlfriend. Ada was scrolling through Instagram. No one knew that their peaceful Sunday was about to explode. Amaka took a long look at the young man. He looked about 22. His jawline, familiar. She turned and walked into the compound without a word, heading straight for her husband. "Iamekanoa," she said slowly, "come outside. Someone is here to see you." When Mr. Okafor stepped outside and saw the boy, he stopped walking. "Good afternoon, sir," the boy said. Mr. Okafor didn't respond. The silence between them stretched like a rubber band ready to snap. Then the boy said again, "My name is David. My mother was Gloria. From Yuki." Mr. Okafor's legs shook. Gloria. That name. He hadn't heard that name in 23 years. Amaka looked from her husband to the boy. "You know him?" she asked, her voice rising. Mr. Okafor opened his mouth, but no words came out. He turned around slowly and walked back into the house. Amaka followed him, and the boy entered too. That evening, in the presence of his wife and children, Mr. Okafor confessed. He had met a girl named Gloria during his NYSC in Enugu. He was in his early 20s, unmarried, and caught up in youthful mistakes, as he put it. She got pregnant. He panicked. He promised to support her but got a job in Lagos and lost contact. He never knew what happened to her. "I thought she aborted it," he said. "I never saw her again." But David was the proof. He had found an old photo with Mr. Okafor's name written on the back, along with a letter Gloria wrote to her sister explaining everything. She had died 2 years ago. David had grown up with his aunt. And now, after digging for the man in the photo for years, he had finally found him. The house fell into complete silence. Amaka was too shocked to cry. Emeka stood up and left the room. Ada looked at the boy like he had crawled out of a grave. No one slept that night. And no one saw what was coming next. By the next morning, the news had already begun spreading through the neighborhood. Nsaka was a small town. People talked. "Mr. Okafor has a son from another woman. He brought the boy into the house. The boy looks just like Emeka. Is it true that he came from Yuki?" But inside the Okafor house, it was not gossip that burned. It was betrayal. Amaka didn't speak to her husband that morning. She didn't make his usual pap. She didn't ask if he was going to the shop. She didn't even look him in the eye. Mr. Okafor sat at the edge of their bed, his hands buried in his face. "You could have told me," she finally said, her voice hoarse from crying all night. "You could have told me 20 years ago. Before the children. Before the mortgage. Before the sickness. Before the church. You could have told me." "I didn't know," he whispered. "You knew. You just buried it and hoped it wouldn't rise." Downstairs, David sat quietly in the sitting room. He hadn't eaten. Emeka ignored him completely. Ada stared at him like a stranger. There were no insults, no shouting, just cold silence that felt heavier than bricks. Then, something unexpected happened. Mrs. Okafor packed her things and left the house. She didn't say where she was going. She didn't even look back. She left her shop, her children, her husband, and disappeared. 3 days passed. Mrs. Okafor's phone was switched off. The children became anxious. Ada cried each night, confused and scared. Emeka became bitter, silent. He began locking himself in his room for hours. He didn't eat much. David, on the other hand, stayed out of everyone's way. He washed his clothes. He mopped the sitting room. He helped in the kitchen. But no one acknowledged him. On the 4th day, Emeka finally exploded. He stormed into the sitting room where David was sweeping. "Why are you still here?" he shouted. "Haven't you caused enough damage? My mother is gone. My sister cries every night. And you're here playing houseboy." "I didn't come to destroy anything," David said calmly. "You came to steal a father. A family. I just wanted to know him." "Well, now you do. Leave." Mr. Okafor walked in, just in time to hear the shouting. "Emeka," he barked. "That's enough." Emeka looked at his father. "You're defending him. He's your brother." "He's not my brother." "He is," Mr. Okafor shouted. "He carries my blood." Emeka stormed out. "You're not the man I thought you were." That night, David packed his bag. The next morning, Mr. Okafor found a note on the dining table. "Thank you for giving me a place to rest. I never wanted to break your home. I just wanted to find where I came from. I didn't ask to be born. I didn't ask to be abandoned. I don't hate anyone. Please don't let this break your family. I'll be fine." "David." Mr. Okafor sat in that chair for almost an hour, his eyes fixed on the note. Regret gnawed at his heart like termites eating wood. He stood up and walked out. He didn't tell his children where he was going. 2 days later, Amaka returned home. She looked tired. Thinner. But calm. Ada ran to hug her. Emeka didn't say much, just helped carry her bag. Later that night, she sat her children down. "I'm back because I realized something," she said. "This family is mine. And no one, not even my husband's past, will chase me away from it." The children listened quietly. David didn't create this pain. He only exposed it. Then she called her husband into the room. They sat together. No yelling. No judgment. "I have something to confess to," she said. Everyone looked at her. "When your father and I first got married, I had met someone else. I was lonely. Your father was always away. I did something I'm not proud of. That child may not have been his." A silence like death swept through the room. Mr. Okafor looked like he had been slapped. "I have lived with that guilt for over 20 years. Every time I looked at your father, I prayed he would never find out. I never told anyone. Not even the priest. Tears rolled down her cheeks. You are angry because he hid a child. But I've hidden worse. The house was silent for a long time after Mrs. Okafor's confession. No one moved. Even the wall clock ticking above the TV felt louder. Emeka swallowed hard. Are you saying I might not be Dad's child? Mrs. Okafor wiped her face slowly. I don't know. I truly don't. I never took a test. I buried it deep. But after what happened with David, I realized we are all carrying things no one knows about. Emeka stood and left the room without saying a word. Ada quietly followed him, tears welling in her eyes again. Only Mr. Okafor remained, still seated beside his wife, staring into space like a man who had just seen his whole life turn to ashes. I guess we're even now, he said coldly, standing up and walking out of the room. Amaka didn't try to stop him. 2 weeks passed. The Okafor household had changed. Dinner became a quiet event. No laughter, no teasing, no prayers before meals. Mr. Okafor spent more time at the shop. Amaka stayed mostly in her room. Ada stopped attending church. Emeka started drinking. But what hurt the most was that no one knew where David was. Until one afternoon, a letter arrived by post. It was addressed to Emeka. Inside was a note. I hope you're doing better. I'm living with a retired priest in Abakaliki. He took me in when I was about to sleep under a bridge. I don't blame you for anything. I just want you to know. I still think of you as my brother. If you ever want to talk, I'm here. David. Emeka stared at the letter for a long time. Then he broke down. It was the first time he had cried since David left. 3 days later, Mr. Okafor showed up at a diagnostic lab in Enugu. He had a small envelope in his hand. Inside, 2 samples, one from himself, one from Emeka. He paid the cash and left quietly. 2 weeks later, the results came in. Emeka was not his biological son. He sat in the car with the paper shaking in his hand. Sweat poured down his face. His heart raced, not from shock, he had suspected it after the confession, but from heartbreak. He remembered Emeka's first steps. His first day at school. The time he fought another father in church because they accused Emeka of theft. 22 years. And yet, the boy wasn't his. He went home and locked the door. He didn't speak to anyone for 2 days. One Saturday morning, Emeka came into his father's room. I know, he said softly. I saw the test on your table. Mr. Okafor didn't look at him. You want me to leave? Emeka asked. No, he said. But I'm not your blood. You are still my son. Emeka broke down again. I'm sorry, he cried. I was so angry at David. But I'm the outsider. Mr. Okafor turned and hugged him. You are my son. Blood or not. And David is too. Then they both cried. Together. They called a family meeting. Mrs. Okafor sat down. Ada beside her. Emeka across the room. Mr. Okafor stood in the center. He told everyone the truth. Emeka was not biologically his. But he also said this: families are not only made by blood. They are made by choice, by sacrifice, by forgiveness. I choose all of you. Including David. He turned to his wife. And I choose you again. We made mistakes. But if we stay in the past, we will rot there. They all agreed David needed to come home. David received a call from Ada. Please come home, she said softly. Everyone's waiting. He returned to Nsukka the following day. As he walked into the compound, he paused at the gate. And then, something he never expected. They were all there, waiting for him: Emeka, Ada, Amaka, and Mr. Okafor. A table was set. A cake was on it. On the cake was written, "Welcome home, brother." No one said a word at first. Then Amaka stepped forward. "I'm sorry, bro," he said. David smiled and embraced him. And just like that, the walls came down. David went on to get a scholarship to study medicine at UNN. Amaka became a youth counselor, helping other boys handle anger and identity. Ada started a podcast about family healing. Mr. and Mrs. Okafor renewed their vows on their 25th anniversary, quietly, with just their children and a priest. They no longer talked about the past much. Not because they forgot it, but because they had forgiven it. Moral lessons. Family is not only made by blood, but by choice, forgiveness, and truth. Secrets will always find a way to surface, better to confront them with courage. Anger might feel powerful, but forgiveness is what truly sets you free. No matter how broken a family seems, love can rebuild it, if everyone is willing.
For more stories like this, like, comment, and subscribe to our channel.